Good evening, everybody. John Jacobson here on the Jacobson Report, our anchor lead on Sunday night prime times, 6 o'clock high p.m. And in 12 hours, we will have another very unique American peaceful transfer of power as President Donald J. Trump reassumes the presidency as the 47th President of the United States, the first president since Grover Cleveland to serve non-consecutive terms as both the 45th and 47th President of the United States. Trump becomes president at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern, with or without formal ceremony. All he has to do is be sworn in. And according to rumor, Donald Trump took the oath of office Saturday night, possibly even there in the District of Columbia, possibly in the White House itself. So there may not even be Capitol festivities. So we've got all sorts of things converging on 103.7 FM and on 1220 AM. You are listening to us on this beautiful, frigid Sunday evening. We are, of course, the homeboy voice of the Kansas City Royals, but we've got the home and away spirit of all the KC Chiefs fans. So tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about MLK, his legacy, along with the national championship game, and a little bit of an inaugural interview. So who better to bring in than our inimitable regular guest, Coach Patrick J. Knapp Jr., the Georgetown legend, one of the winningest coaches in Big East women's basketball history, a pioneer in helping use his vaunted perch from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, while at his long tenure in Georgetown, to get congressional eyes on the ball, literally, and to get funding and statutory financial parity, even national television games. Coach, a true pioneer. Coach, we're so delighted to have you on again with us today.
Good day, John. Hope things are going well.
They are, Coach, and so many good things to dwell on and talk about. Coach, let's first talk about MLK Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. You and I grew up during a time where we were very conscious of the civil rights movement, beginning with Dr. King's ascendancy of his leadership there, particularly during the 1960s, that decade. Coach, what was the key to your success and Georgetown's success in doing so well in the integration, in opening the schools, in opening athletics, and in opening academic scholarship and career and job opportunities for our African-American, Black American citizens? Coach, you were a pioneer, and you get kudos for what you did at Georgetown and your other universities, frankly. You're still at New Mexico State University. You started at Notre Dame. You've been at William Penn. You've been at Hawaii. You've always been at the forefront. Reflect on that for us, would you?
Yeah, John, thank you for that. MLK Day, when I was coaching, became a day where you did community service. We worked on building a house. We worked at soup kitchens. We went to a drug rehab center. We did many things to give service. But when it comes to the recognition of civil rights and equality for anyone, race, color, or creed, I have to go back to my father. We grew up small town, Roslyn, Pennsylvania. My dad was a gas station owner and a car mechanic. We were about 5 miles or so from a completely black neighborhood, and there was tension. And I'll get quickly to the point of the story. My dad confronted a couple racist customers in our own in our own business, not in our business, but who came in to the storefront that day. And when they left, when he asked them to leave, my dad pulled me aside and said, "Pat, we believe in everybody. We believe in giving everybody an opportunity, no matter what color they are. Don't listen to those guys." And that came from my father in probably 1966. From that point forward, I, like you, as you mentioned, you watched Martin Luther King with his marches, his meetings with the president, and then unfortunately his death, which really hurt America, in my opinion. But we hopefully, I believe, we have improved, we have changed, we have advanced in equality of all race, color, and creed, as long as there's no violence. And ML King was into nonviolent behavior as well.
Exactly.
So it was a big day, ML King Day, particularly when we were at Georgetown. Yes.
Yeah, I salute his theology. We were at a fork in the road, and we could have taken a more troubled path. And King really focused on the teachings of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, some of the teachings of Mohandas Mahatma Gandhi, and he chose a path of non-resistance, peaceful. Well, it wasn't non-resistance; it was resistance, but it was peaceful resistance and respectful of the dictates of authority, but also pricking the consciences of the American people. And he did it in a way theologically that allowed for the peaceful translation of these inherent rights to our African American brethren, a promise that had not been fulfilled to them. And they had waited far too long. And King's path was one that allowed a nation, no other nation in the history of the world has integrated such unique races of people from multiple races, has integrated so peacefully and so prosperously. The United States truly is a beacon of that, as you see the genocides that have happened just in the last century. And Coach John Thompson, the Georgetown legend, when he had Patrick Ewing, another legend there, they were a great African-American coach and athlete, and you worked closely with them in our nation's capital, and they helped you a little bit, too, with the women's program. Rising tide lift all boats, right, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. If it wasn't MLK in the sporting world, particularly starting in the early 70s, it was John Thompson carrying the banner for civil rights.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about that. John was a strong supporter of civil rights and a strong supporter of equal rights for blacks. But I can tell you something very quickly. John would say, it's not black, it's not white. Most powerful people in this country are green for money. And he believed that.
Yeah.
He believed that the African-American community would be heard from if they got richer. And he obviously made sure that many of his players did that. They got educations. They played pro basketball. But he truly believed in an education and an opportunity to make more money, thus be in the conversation. And by the way, with King, and I know you know this, John, the stuff that he did was amazing, considering the FBI was against him. They bugged him. They weren't on his side. And Lyndon Johnson was a gratuitous partner in the whole thing.
Yeah,
so he was really fighting a hard battle.
Yeah, I was talking to our athletic director, Janet Eaton Smith at Auburn University the other day. She's doing some great participations as a wonderful African-American leader and educator. And we were talking about that. And I said, I really, really have an affinity for Dr. King precisely because of those reasons, Coach Knapp, that J. Edgar Hoover and Lyndon Baines Johnson, who I think were two villains in American history, you either choose King or you choose Johnson and Hoover. I'm a Martin Luther King Jr. guy. And, Coach, I think you nailed it. Well, Coach, we'll be celebratory tomorrow for a wide variety of reasons. One of those will be the national championship football game, the Ohio State University and Notre Dame. And, Coach, what's your prediction and any assessments, opinings? What I found very heartening, and maybe, Coach, I'm detecting a major vibe shift for the good right now in the American culture. There have been, among the teams, among the teammates, among the players and coaches, there's been a real embracing, both at Ohio State and at Notre Dame, of their Christian identity. I'm not talking about institutionally. I'm talking about at the player and coach level is very edifying. So, Coach, your predictions, and are you picking up on a vibe shift? Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I do. There is rarely an interview done post game where you don't get a player praising God for their performance and thankful to the Lord for what their team has been able to accomplish. Definitely noticeable. As for the game, the line has gone from 8.5 points to 9.5 point favorite for Ohio State. That puts it a little bit out of range. I did take Ohio State at 8.5. Obviously, they have a strong passing game. Will Howard to wide receiver Smith. They have the running game. They were a little light on the offensive line going into the latter part of the regular season. That's not the case anymore. I think Ohio State wins this game. Notre Dame puts up a fight, but I'm taking Ohio State.
Coach, we're so glad you're with us. We are at the midway point on primetime Sunday nights. The Jacobson Report, the lead off here. And guys, you're listening to us on 1220 and 103.7 FM, the country music giant of the East Central Plains of Kansas, in your homeway voice of the Kansas City Royals. The Chiefs also, guys. Everybody is so pumped. We're going to talk about the Chiefs in a minute. All of you listening to us in the Kansas City suburbs, as well as Lawrence and Topeka, our capital, where the legislature is convening. Lawrence, of course, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, Emporia, Baldwin City, Wellsville, Garnett, Paola, Osage City, here in Ottawa. We've got quite a wonderful signal, and we are brought to you by Jim and Cindy Jandrin, who sponsor both Life Runners. Go to liferunners.org and get your T-shirt, and like the lovely and gracious Deborah Jacobson, walk and run for life, protecting expectant mothers and their babies along the way, building a culture of life from womb to tomb, and of course helping those babies and moms continuing after they're born. And that's liferunners.org. And also Jim and Cindy with Midwest Renewable Energy LLC, Energy for a Strong America, ethanol and renewable fuels emanating out of eastern Nebraska, building revenue sectors for all of our ag families across the Midwest, keeping our food supply amongst the American people who control it in Midwestern families, not corporate concentrationists, and staying away from those Mideast terror dollars of trade. Midwest Renewable Energy LLC is lean, it's clean, and it's green. Coach, let's talk about these NFL playoffs. Wow, it's been quite a weekend as we are just coming up here on, it's obviously 6 o'clock on Sunday night. We don't have time to digest everything, but let's go back and just do a quick tour. Let's talk about what happened in those early rounds. Texans over Chargers, Ravens over Steelers, Bills over Broncos, the Packers losing, the Commanders over the Bucks, and the Rams over the Vikes. And Coach, give us a little assessment of what we've seen so far, and then we'll talk about the divisional round starting yesterday.
Yeah, well, I think that the what they call the wild card rounds were basically disappointing for the most part. Obviously, you had Houston win, you had Washington win, the Rams won. They had to go to Arizona to play their game against Minnesota. They killed the Vikings, and you had Buffalo win. As you know, today, John, we have big games on Sunday. The Eagles play the Rams at home, and Buffalo hosts Baltimore. But do you want to get into the divisional games?
Oh, do
yesterday?
We want to talk about those yesterday? Of course, this audience here, they love their Chiefs. I saw some grousing about calls, especially about a no call of unnecessary roughness against a quarterback in another game. You might know what I'm talking about there, Coach. But yeah, let's drill down. Commanders, I call them the Washington Redskins, 45 over the Detroit Lions, 31. A bit of a surprise. And what everybody wants to hear you extol about, the Kansas City Football Chiefs, 23, Texans, 14.
Well, let's start right there because that obviously was the game for the area. 23-14, Kansas City beats Houston, eighth straight playoff win that ties them with the Panthers and New England Patriots to win 8 straight playoff games. I believe that they will win the next one, so they'll break that record. Travis Kelce, 7 catches, 117 yards at TD, an 11-yard TD pass in the fourth quarter. That was a separator, put the Chiefs up 20-12. The big story of the day, though, to me was Steve Spagnuolo, his pass rush and his defensive schemes. He's dialing up pressure all the time from different angles. 8 sacks for the Chiefs really put Houston in a hole. And Mahomes now has won 16 playoff games.
Amazing.
Ties the great Joe Montana for 16.
Wow.
But nobody's close to Tom Brady at 35 right now.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, Coach, 2 great games yesterday as the streets of the Kansas City suburbs, the vectors of commerce were idle. Everybody in the frigid temps here, if they weren't at Arrowhead, they were at home watching those games. Amazing cultural zeitgeist going on here. Coach, 2 games today. Obviously, we're taping just a smidgen before we know the outcomes of those, but who do you think's arcing their way toward the championship game and the Super Bowl after the conference championship? The conference championship, of course, a week from today.
Yeah. I'm very wary of the Rams at Philadelphia. Rams getting 6.5. By wary, I mean the Rams. If you're going to take 2 categories, if you're going to take best coach, best quarterback, and you go Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts versus Matt Stafford and McVay, the coach of the Rams, you're going to take the Rams. I mean, just with the coaching experience, Super Bowl under his belt by McVay, and obviously Stafford's won a Super Bowl, throws the ball extremely well, a great amount of records. You're going to take him over Hurts. The equalizer has to be, it's going to snow in Philly today, apparently. I'm hearing from my sources in the second half, not right now. The running game for Philadelphia and the better defense, maybe Philly ekes out a 20-14 game, 23-17 or 20-17. Either way, I'm taking the Rams in the 6.5. My buddies in Philly are going to kill me, and I hope, obviously, that the Eagles win, but the Rams cover.
We're here with Coach Patrick J. Knapp Jr., and, I mentioned 1540 because sometimes this show is grabbed by the Iowa networks. That KXEL 1540 goes to 14 of the original Big Ten states and their neighbors, as well as 2 Canadian provinces. And again, we're sponsored on this great Jacobson Report show, anchoring our primetime Sunday nights here on KOFO 1220 and 103.7 FM, the East Central Plains #1 country market. We're your home and away voice, not just of the Braves and cousins of the Chiefs, but we're the home and away voice of the Ottawa University Braves. Sponsored by liferunners.org, helping expectant mothers and babies along the way, and Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC, renewable fuels, ethanol, energy for a strong America, as lean, as clean, as green. Thanks to Jim and Cindy Jandren on both counts. And so we come to Ottawa Braves athletics. Blake, I know you love Coach's national takes. Blake, give us a quick update on what you've seen with our Ottawa Braves. You're the home and away voice. We got a top 10, essentially, women's basketball team. It's a tale of 2 cities with hoops right now. Talk real quickly.
Yeah, like you said, about a top 10 team in terms of women's wrestling, which is a lot of fun. That Wilson was electric the other day. Love that. But the basketball team's a bit of a slide as of late. Both getting some really tough competition. Is the Braves women's team having to take on number 2, number 3, and number 4 in the conference. They sit down there in 12th. It's hard to get any sort of grease and any sort of traction on those wheels when you're not taking on anybody around your range. They just they're struggling right now in terms of finishing ball games. It's going to come with the turf because you got a lot of first time starters, as we've seen injuries and we've seen again the two star players from last year not on the roster here this year. The men's side dropping two tough games in a row. They lost to Oakwood and they lost to Bethel. They sit tied at third in the conference. Top 8 teams go to the conference. The last RPI ranking that came out has us one of the last 4 outs, maybe the second 4 outs of the tournament in March. So we're gonna need a little help down the stretch. Got to win some big games.
So I got to ask you a big question. I want to bring Coach in on this as we've got our last 3 minutes here. So Blake, you're sitting at the scorer's table doing the play-by-play on radio. I'm doing the PA announcing. The other night, our home game against Oklahoma Wesleyan, women's game, then men's game. Both of our coaches got teed up.
Yeah.
Coach Knapp, I would say this. Sometimes there are not good times to get a tee. That happened in the women's game. Sometimes it's okay. That happened in the men's game. For the record, I thought both were really chintzy, cowardly calls. I heard no bad language or terrible naughties. I was genuinely shocked. As a matter of fact, I think the ref in the first game started walking away and then decided to call the tee.
Hunter got the tee as he was past his assistant coach. He was talking to his bench at that point. So it was a bit late. And I think the men's game, I don't think it was Coach Cross. I think it was one of the players after a block.
Yeah, that's true. It was a player. And so it was a player in the men's game. It was not the coach.
The officials get a little weird when it comes to, like, you can't do anything after a big block or anything like. I don't think he was doing anything nefarious, but I understand you got to nip that in the bud with players before it gets a little out of hand. But the Coach B one was probably the most egregious one I've seen this year.
Yeah, and in the men's game, you're right. It was a player. It was not Coach Cross. Coach Knapp, give us 2 minutes of wisdom on technical fouls and how coaches can use it to kill momentum or punch it up even to higher momentum. Because you got 1 or 2 in your career, did you not?
At New Mexico State in 1983-84, my very first year here, I got thrown out of 4 games. So that takes a couple technical time. We were trying to make our imprint in the Southwest with beginning our new program. I really have sympathy or empathy for the officials at NAIA D3 level because you're not getting the most experienced refs for the most part, and I'm not sure what game knowledge the refs are bringing into the game other than nobody wants to be shown up. So I can't speak to those 2 T's, but I will say that there is an opportunity in a ball game that is getting away from you to stop play, get a technical, put the ref on notice, and fire your team up. Any teams that come late in a close game are ill-advised. Sounds like you might have saw one of those.
Yeah, exactly. Well, our final outro here, Blake Griffin. You're a young guy. You're in your 20s, but I start going back to 50 years ago to the early 70s. And Coach, we'd be remiss if we did not give a tip of the fedora to the late Bob Euchre. I'm in mourning. Sadly, passed away earlier this week at age 90. Coach, his genius was that he turned self-deprecating humor into gold. And what an ambassador of goodwill that transcended just the guys in the locker room. Comment just a bit on Baseball Hall of Fame, not for his on-field performance, which he cashed in with self-deprecating humor, but for his great broadcasting. He was a Milwaukee Braves broadcaster also for about half a century. Coach, Bob Euchre.
Yeah, Euchre was on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show 100 times.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Now, anybody, the younger generation will not know the prowess of Johnny Carson back in the day.
A third of the nation watched him every night at 10:30. A third of the nation.
Yeah, considering the slop that's on at 11:30 late night on the channels today. So Euchre was a funny guy. If you got to know Carson and he got to know you, you were invited on immeasurably all the time. Euchre just had great delivery, deadpan,
Oh, the deadpan.
He obviously, deprecating humor. He had 201 lifetime, and he let you know it. Funny guy.
I love his one comment that in 1962 he was named minor league ball player of the year, and he said he'd been in the majors for 2 years already. And of course, he starred in the TV series Mr. Belvedere. My students at Ottawa knew him from the Major League motion pictures. All my softball women, my baseball men keyed right in, and they figured it out. Even though I showed very old interviews with Johnny Carson, and of course I showed, which is literally an epic Hall of Fame induction speech. Not only did Euchre literally have everybody crying, from Hank Aaron to Bob Costas, every baseball legend, Sparky Anderson was there. If you want to get a sense of Bob Euchre, watch his Canton Hall of Fame speech, Coach. You've seen that. It's just epic.
Absolutely. I watched a few segments of Carson the day that it was announced that he passed, and the jokes are too numerous to mention right now, but absolutely, he was a comedic genius.
Blake, do you have some sense of Bob Euchre? Did you guys know who this guy was when they announced at 90 years old? A lot of young people maybe wouldn't know, but it seems like you even tangentially have some appreciation for Bob Euchre.
I mean, as a baseball broadcaster, I started out myself. Have to know the greats. Your Vin Scully's my favorite broadcaster out there for the Giants, who's been around for a while. But Euchre is one of the last radio guys that you turn on the radio and you know it's him, and he tells a story one of the best ways you possibly could have. And he's a guy I took a lot of pointers from as a kid who kind of just started broadcasting in his room. A lot of pointers from him and from Vin just on how to fill time. I mean, it's stories after stories, and to be that knowledgeable and to be that witty, it makes the broadcast that much better.
Well, guys, we're lucky to have Coach Patrick J. Knapp Jr. So, Coach, give a prediction for the NFL Championship game matchups. Who are going to be your finalists next week prior to that vaunted Super Bowl game?
Obviously, Washington pulled off a big upset at Detroit last night. Detroit, with 4 key turnovers, blew the game. Washington will meet Philadelphia in Philly. That's my prediction.
Wow.
And Buffalo will go to Arrowhead. And I think we're going to see the Chiefs and the Eagles again. That's my call.
Wow. Great stuff from Pat Knapp Jr. Thanks, Blake Griffin. This is John Jacobson as we head into round 2 tonight on Sunday night prime time on 1220 1037 KOFO. Until we meet again, grab the podcast on KOFO.com. And, Coach, where can they find your podcast, Play-by-Play?
Play-by-Play on Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, anywhere you get it. We have some tremendous guests coming on, John. I can preview them next time.
Sounds great, guys. And, hey, Caitlin Clark in the Sky booth with Miss Taylor Swift. So, women's basketball coach, you built a monster. This is John Jacobson for Blake Griffin saying be safe, be smart, be good, be strong, love Jesus Christ, and God bless us, everyone. Congratulations, President Trump. Bye-bye.